Alright, 皆さん、いつも The Austin Arthur Show ご覧いただきありがとうございます。毎回美味しいお酒を飲ませていただいておりますが、何かやっぱりこの内容を喜んでいただいている方がいらっしゃいましたら、ぜひ、you guys can leave a donation or a super chat で、特に飲んでほしい日本酒とかがありましたら、ぜひ、スーパーチャットを残していただいて、飲んでほしい日本酒を教えていただければ、必ず買いますので、よろしくお願いします。Great.
お願いします。
Wonderful.
Oh, Arthur, you just opened the floodgates. I feel like they're just going to be like, all right, here's all the
Oh,
money.
I know.
Drink all the sake.
I know 3 people that wanted to donate. They're like, I can't donate. What's going on?
I want to give you money.
Cheers.
Why can't you let me?
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Oh, this is nice.
Wow.
Yeah, this is. I knew it was gonna have kind of like a mouthfeel, like kind of a dense
feel.
A dense. It was gonna have like a texture to it because it's cloudy.
Yeah. It's you definitely going into this. You expect like kind of a rich rice.
Yeah,
flavor.
yeah.
And this is really easy to drink.
And who gave you this one?
So this is Takakiya-san. This is a local place in Ogata, which is like kind of like a village in Oita.
Okay.
And I had a super cool conversation with the guy, and I completely apologize because I never asked him his name.
Okay.
We were so excited because let me tell you the story.
Yeah, tell me the story.
My mother-in-law, she knows that I like nihonshu, that I like sake. So she's like, I know this great place nearby, and it's a really local place, and this guy has craft nihonshu. Right, so I'll take you there, and you can go sample, and if you want to buy some, you can buy it. So I go there, and there's this super cool guy, and he's like, "Oh, you want to try the sample? Cool. Normally we allow 1, but I'll let you try everything."
Oh, cool.
And I'm just like, "Oh boy!"
Like kid in a candy shop.
Yeah. And so like I'm sampling all this stuff, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, so." Why are you visiting Japan right now? And I'm like, no, I've lived here for 7 years, but when I was a high school student, I used to often come to Japan as a yugakusei, as an exchange student. And he's like, dude, really? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, wow. Yeah, I used to go to America as an exchange student to Seattle.
To Seattle.
And I'm just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. So I visited America also. And I'm like, that's so crazy. So like we both went to the opposite country. Yeah. And when he was younger, he wanted to be a pilot. And that's exactly what I wanted to be.
You want to be a pilot too.
And I was like, dude, what? Yeah. And he's like, yeah, well, I ended up not being a pilot, and so I decided that I would make craft sake instead. And I'm just like, dude, this is so cool. Yeah. Like, what are the odds that like we had like similar dreams? We both did similar things when we were in high school, and then we kind of like settled on something else.
Yeah.
So it was just like a fun experience. The guy was super friendly to talk to, and everything I sampled was just like,
yeah, dude. Well, this is really nice. This is Takakiya in Ogata.
In Ogata.
Yeah, it says Godaime on this, so this is really the real deal, man.
Yeah, the bottle they weren't cheap.
I believe it.
I think this one was like 3,000 yen.
Yeah,
something around there.
Yeah. Well, the good stuff is like around that.
Yeah.
But still, well, I kind of want to put a link to this sake in like the description or something like that.
Yeah. I'll ask my wife. Maybe we can look up the website and everything. Yeah, I don't know how many people are going to Oita.
Yeah.
But if you find yourself in the area, please go to Takakiya in Ogata and say hello to the staff there and try. So I bought 2 bottles. And then I actually bought another bottle. Was like 5,000 yen.
Okay.
It was the was it Daiginjo?
Yeah.
Daiginjo. And I drank that to celebrate my daughter being born.
Yeah.
And that was like,
dude, I believe it.
Daiginjo is like, it's so
I believe
good.
It.
It's so good,
man. But it's funny. So we're talking about sake a lot, but today we're gonna talk about probably like the opposite of sake, which is coffee and coffee culture in Japan versus America.
Yeah. So it's like coffee culture is really interesting here. So I feel like coffee culture in the U.S. kind of depends on where you are in the U.S. Okay. Me being from Seattle, it's like Seattle's like famous around the world
Starbucks land.
for being coffee people.
Yeah.
Like we are coffee people.
Yeah.
So it's super easy to go to Seattle, and even if you're going to Starbucks, you will see people really care about where the coffee's from, how it's made, how are you brewing it, and then what are you brewing it in. There's like all these different steps that like change the flavor, and I know you're a huge coffee guy too.
I'm a huge coffee nerd, yeah.
But I feel like if you go to like different parts of the U.S., like, you know, I think deep in the South, I would say that it's more of like a Dunkin' Donuts kind of area.
Well, Dunkin' Donuts is actually from my neck of the woods, from Boston.
Yeah.
I would say like so where I come from, you know, Boston. You know, they say America runs on Dunkin', and it's actually more like Boston runs on Dunkin'. Like
Seattle runs on Starbucks.
Yeah.
I don't even know Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, but it's really so for me when I imagine coffee in the United States, or at least in my neck of the woods, I imagine coffee in a diner with like a side of pancakes.
Yes,
and you get free refills.
Yeah,
Like, that's my image of coffee in America.
Yeah. So for me, it's a little different.
Okay.
My image of a coffee shop is super early in the morning. So Starbucks usually opens up at like 4:30 or 5 a.m.
Okay.
in the U.S. And my image is like you're hitting up the coffee at like 5:30 or 6 a.m. on your way to work. You're going through the drive-through, and that's you get your
drive-through is
coffee.
a big thing.
Yes. And you get your coffee, and then you're stuck in traffic drinking your coffee. And that's like when I imagine like drinking coffee, that's what I imagine.
Yeah.
But that's completely different here in Japan.
Yeah.
First of all, and this blew my mind when I first came here, coffee shops here do not open up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, they don't. They open up later, like 9 or 8.
What?
Yeah.
That's the whole point of coffee is you're supposed to be waking up early and you're just like, man, I need something to kick myself into
Did you
gear.
know that people here drink coffee to relax?
Yeah. Is that is such a, you know, I'm used to it now.
Yeah.
Because like I've lived here for so long, but that was such a weird concept to me because it's like my entire life, it's like when you think of coffee, it's like, all right, well, I need some energy.
It's energy juice.
Yes, it's energy juice, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the concept of like drinking, you're putting caffeine into your body to relax.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Right?
What?
Yeah.
So it's like I said, I'm used to it now, but it was so hard for me to get used to that, and it was so frustrating for me when I first came here because I'm a huge coffee drinker. I drink coffee every day, usually 2 to 3 cups. And my only option if I wake up in the morning is to go to Konbini.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, so I want to ask you, so how has like your coffee drinking changed versus from the US to Japan?
It's completely night and day. So I used to have Starbucks every day in Seattle. Now I honestly couldn't even tell you the last time I've had Starbucks.
Yeah.
And it's not because Starbucks is not popular, because it is.
Yeah.
It is everywhere in Tokyo, and it's really, really popular among Japanese people. But there's 2 things. First of all, it doesn't open up early. It opens up like, most Starbucks open up at like 9.
Yeah.
I'm already done with coffee at 9.
Yeah, right. Like, right.
I'm on to other things.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about lunch.
Yeah, right. At 9?
At 9.
Okay, man.
You know? But also, I think Starbucks is more of a, I would say it's more of an experience here in Japan than a place to get coffee.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say so. So for me, when I think of Starbucks here, I think of like the themed frappuccinos.
Yes.
Whereas in the States, I just think about
I just want to get my drip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also I feel so like one thing that really hit me that was different was, so of course in America they have seasonal drinks like pumpkin spice, whatever. But in Japan, it's like every year, every season they have a new frappuccino.
Yes.
And they did this one campaign where like they had a different frappuccino for each prefecture in Japan.
Yes.
And you had to visit the different prefectures to try it.
Well, they have the same thing with the what are they called? Tumblers?
Yeah, the tumblers. Yeah.
Yeah. So Japan has a thing where they have different tumblers depending on which prefecture you're in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like that, so for me it's almost like it's that kind of thing, whereas in the States it's like you don't have that much variety.
Not really. I mean, if you go to like the first Starbucks in Seattle, they have like special like the Pike's Place blend, and they have like special like mugs and stuff you can buy. But I mean, if you're in a Starbucks in California or a Starbucks in New York, they're the same thing.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, here they're much more beautiful. I feel like to be.
Yeah, I really think that there's and it's not unique to Starbucks, but there's a thing about cafes here that kind of what you were saying earlier was like you go to relax. Well, cafes they kind of have like I've never been to France, but I imagine it to be like kind of a French cafe vibe.
Okay, what makes you say that?
Well, when I imagine a cafe in Paris. I imagine the stereotype like woman in like all black, with a little like artist hat. I don't even know what the hell
a beret.
A beret, like sitting and drinking like a cappuccino with like the Eiffel Tower in the background. Like that's my vision of a French cafe, and I feel like every cafe, including Starbucks, that you enter in Japan, tries to emulate that at least in like a small way. Yeah. Maybe they won't have like a view that someone can relax outside it, but at the very least they're going to have like cute pastries. Yeah. Or they're going to have like seats organized in a way that like you could relax for like an hour or two in, you know?
No, I totally get that. It's so the spaces, especially in Starbucks, the spaces are very small, but I mean, Japanese people tend to be smaller than Americans, so that's fine.
Yeah, but they're very personal.
Yeah, that is true, and it's much more of a beautiful, better experience, I think.
Yeah.
One thing that so to keep on talking about Starbucks, so one thing that also surprised me because I watched this video about like Starbucks on YouTube or something, and they were talking about like people doing these custom drinks where you put a pump of this syrup and a pump of this syrup, and like
sounds disgusting.
Yeah, I know, but it's funny because like in Japan, you never have like pumps of syrup and stuff, but in the States, it's like everywhere.
Yeah. So that's another thing is like custom orders.
Yeah,
and I think that really ties into American culture of like people just really wanting to have like individual preferences on stuff, whereas like Japan, it's like in Starbucks in America, you have. Do you know about the secret menu?
Yeah, I know about the secret menu.
So they have stuff like the secret menu, for example. They have stuff where you can make your custom drinks where it's like, if you try to do that in Japan, the barista will just look at you like, do we have a menu? Yeah. Can you order something on that?
Yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much like, so I feel like the go-to drink in Japan is almost especially for girls is like a latte.
Yes.
Whereas like the go-to drink for coffee in the States is a latte with like a pump of caramel and a pump of chocolate and a pump of like whatever.
Yeah.
Like just all this stuff,
Yeah.
Like I know, especially so we're talking about Starbucks, but even like Dunkin' Donuts, where I'm from, you'll have these big cups of coffee and they'll just like 10 pumps, like overall 10 pumps, like different sugary sweet things in it. And it's like, ugh.
And it is cafes here, and I'm specifically talking about Starbucks. Yeah, but Toldi's is kind of the same way,
which does not exist in the States anymore.
What?
Toldi's got bought out by Starbucks.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course. You can't have an American coffee company.
Yeah,
unless it's Starbucks or Dunkin'.
Basically,
like, well, to be fair, like Toldi's was another Seattle-based coffee place, so I mean, I guess it'd be bought out. But anyways, like something that I think is pretty consistent here is especially when it comes to seasonal drinks, once it's gone, it's gone. Yeah. Like you do not get pumpkin spice lattes in summer. Yeah. You don't even get them in winter. Yeah. Right? Whereas I think if you're in the US and you go to Starbucks, like I think you can pretty reasonably get a pumpkin spice latte pretty much whenever.
Yeah, it's
like,
just not on the menu.
It's not going to be on the menu, but like they're going to have the ingredients. So I feel like it's a lot more of a structured experience here. Yeah. Versus I think in America, Starbucks isn't like, no one hangs out in Starbucks unless you're like an edgy college guy that's like trying to like write a novel or something. You know what I mean?
And
like,
in that case, you probably wouldn't even be going to Starbucks.
Yeah, you're going to be at like some like, obscure cafe. Yeah. It's like, oh, let me write my
I was that guy, so.
but what... Like I'm saying though, you go into a Starbucks in the US and it's empty. Yeah. All the time. It's empty. you know?
Yeah.
But the drive-through is packed.
Yeah, drive-thru's
Right?
packed. Yeah.
But it's exact opposite in Japan. Like even if you go to a Starbucks that's kind of like more in the countryside where
Yeah.
there's a drive-through, I guarantee if you go inside, it's packed.
Yeah, it is packed. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's one in Oita, and it's always packed. And
Yeah.
of course, there's a drive-through with the cars, but it's always packed
Yes,
inside.
it's
Yeah,
always packed inside.
yeah,
And that's the difference. I think people want an experience here and
it's
not a
to
drink.
relax. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's to relax. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which, but then going on the other side of that, when we're talking about coffee for fuel or whatever, I want to talk about convenience store coffee and compare it to the coffee that you would get at a 7-Eleven in the States.
Oh, it's not even comparable.
Okay, tell us why.
Okay, so I am a huge advocate for convenience store coffee.
In Japan.
Yes. It is good.
Yeah,
It's good quality coffee.
yeah,
And like, look, I'm not a coffee guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a coffee guy because I'm from Seattle, but like, I'm not like
you're not a coffee nerd. You're
I'm
not like
a
me.
coffee snob.
Yeah,
like
you're
you.
not like me. Yeah.
Yeah. I will drink bad coffee. I was in the military. I had powdered coffee from our MREs, which are meals ready to eat.
I did
Oh,
not
good
drop that.
Good job. I had powdered coffee,
Yeah.
and that coffee is basically mud.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
It's mud. So I'll drink whatever. But man, when I have that 7-Eleven coffee, like it's pretty good.
But so you got to explain like the difference because like in the States, right? When people get coffee at a gas station or
Yeah.
at a convenience store, there is a pot of coffee
Yeah.
on a heater
Yes.
that it's just there and you pour it in.
Yeah.
Or like if you go to Panera, it's coffee that's already been brewed in a
Yes.
container and you just do it.
Yeah. So typically speaking, I would say 7-Eleven coffee in the US or convenience store coffee, like gas station coffee, is like you said, it's a pot of coffee. We don't know if it's like blended coffee or if it's just powdered coffee. We don't know where it came from. We don't know how long ago it was made.
Yeah.
If you go to 7-Eleven, well, you have two options. First of all, you can just go and get like the canned coffee,
Yeah, yeah.
which is still pretty good.
In Japan, you're talking
Yes.
about. Okay.
Yeah, you can go get the canned coffee, and it's still pretty good quality coffee. But the other option is you can get a cup, and you go and it blends the coffee as you're preparing it.
Yeah, you put it in this machine, you close the door, you push a button, it grinds the coffee,
Yeah.
and then, yeah.
Yeah. So you are always getting fresh coffee.
Yeah.
And that is such a huge difference.
Yeah.
Like the flavor is so much more sharp.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have this like burnt taste.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of like a big criticism I have with American coffee
Yeah.
in general is I think you experience this even in Starbucks is you go to the coffee and you can tell that the coffee was made a long time ago
Yeah, because it's burnt.
because it tastes burnt.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't really experience that here in Japan. You don't taste burnt coffee ever.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll get bitter coffee, but it's not burnt, it's not old.
Oh, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the same thing. So like in diners, so also diner culture started in the East Coast. I don't know how many diners they have in Seattle.
They're not common.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more of an East Coast thing. But like
Yeah.
like you go there, you get your pancakes, you get your omelet, whatever,
Yeah.
and they'll have the coffee that's free refills, and they'll come over with it.
Yeah.
But it's just a coffee that's been sitting on the coffee maker on the heating pad for like an hour.
Yeah.
And then after a while, it just tastes like muddy burnt water a
Yeah.
little bit. But it's coffee, so you know you get your
Yeah.
coffee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas so one thing that was really surprising for me is at 7-Eleven and Family Mart, they actually allow you to choose the beans now. Like you can get the regular coffee or you
Yeah.
can get the special
Yeah.
Kilimanjaro coffee or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
you know?
I just really like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, so we talked about that. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about canned coffee because some people are probably curious about that.
Like I said, I'm a huge advocate for canned coffee, and it's like, it's not that weird of a concept.
yeah.
Like, I'm sure if you go to America right now, you can find, like, I'm sure you can find canned coffee. I don't think it's common, but I'm sure if you looked around, you could probably find it. But like, you can't even compare canned coffee in the U.S. to here
Yeah.
because it's so prevalent here. Like anywhere you go, if you go to a convenience store or even if you're just walking on the street, we've talked about how common it is to see vending machines.
Yeah.
every single time you look at a vending machine, I guarantee you will find canned coffee in it.
Yeah. But the thing that's amazing though is that so in the States, even if you were to have canned coffee or bottled coffee, it would be cold.
Yes.
But here you get it hot.
You can get it hot.
Just a question for you. So when you get hot coffee out of the vending machine, are you able to hold it in your hands or is it like too hot for you?
No, it's actually not too hot.
Because for me, okay, I'm just a wimp thing. Because it's too. I'm like when I get, I'm just like.
See, Arthur, you just have to have these things called man hands.
Yeah, I don't have man hands. I have like pudgy boy hands.
You just gotta toughen it up.
Sorry,
a little
man.
bit,
I have not experienced. But it's always like when it comes out, I'm like,
Yeah.
like for me it's hot, but whatever. Natsumi makes fun of me all the time because
That's funny.
Yeah.
Do you have Natsumi hold it until it gets cold?
No, I don't have her hold it
Natsumi,
for
I
me.
can't hold
No,
this.
no. No, but she's just like, man, Arthur, you need to man up. But
funny.
she told me like the way that she like built up the or her, like how to say she was able to hold hot things was because she needed to help her grandmother when she was younger. She would always be handling hot plates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I had never had to do
my
that.
hands are just so heavily scarred that like
Yeah.
I don't have much like feeling in my hands, so
Yeah.
it's like it's easy.
So then for you, like the canned coffee is not a problem.
Yeah.
But do you have like a favorite canned coffee? What's the
Boss.
process? What's it? Boss?
Boss Coffee is, sponsor me, boss. Please give me all the things.
The
If
boss
any-
of them all since 1991.
Yeah, and it's Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones.
He's not only an incredible actor.
Yeah.
Like pretty much I shouldn't say anybody in America because like we're getting old now, so I feel like young people don't really know.
Dude,
who
but
he
he's
is.
the Men in Black guy.
But young people don't know Men in Black.
What?
Come on. You have to understand, like, how long ago was Men in Black made?
That is true. When
Like
when I
30,
talk to
20
22-year-olds,
years
like
ago?
there's
They don't know Men in
yeah,
Black.
Yeah.
It's such a good, like, Will Smith is even fading into obscurity, let alone
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
But Tommy Lee Jones is a cool guy.
Yeah.
He is a cool guy. He's just like a no nonsense kind of hard ass kind of
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
And that's probably why he was selected as like
Yeah.
the spokesman for Boss,
Boss.
because he's supposed to like he looks like a boss.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's so funny watching, you'll see commercials here in Japan about Boss Coffee.
Yeah.
And it's always like Tommy Lee Jones in like a ridiculous situation.
Yeah.
Where he just like, he'll like fall through a building.
Yeah.
And like fall through like several floors and like all this dust is up. And he like gets up and he's got like this business suit and he's like,
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Boss Coffee.
Yeah, right.
So it's,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love the guy.
Yeah, so for me, I like Boss Coffee just because it's like, it's first of all, the name Boss is just awesome, and then
Yeah.
like the tagline is the boss of them all since
Yeah.
then. But it's funny because you have another brand called like Dido or Dido DYDO or whatever. But what they do is, because they can't compete with the Boss, so
Yeah.
what they do is they put anime characters on their cans and they make you collect them.
Yes. So my wife's really into the Demon Slayer
Yeah, right.
series. And so we have like a whole bunch of Demon Slayer stuff. And like some of them are called like coffee
Okay.
coffee cans.
Okay.
With like the different characters on it.
So how would you describe like the taste of canned coffee versus like coffee you get at a konbini?
And like I said, I'm not a huge coffee snob. So I think if you are a person who really is particular about coffee, you will immediately notice a difference. But for a regular average Joe like myself, I would say I can't really tell a difference
Yeah.
if I'm drinking. To be fair, I only drink Boss or the Georgia.
Okay.
You know Georgia?
Yeah, Georgia, yeah.
Georgia's like another like big brand for coffee here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it's called Georgia. Is it from Georgia?
I don't know why. I should look that up.
Yeah. Maybe it's from Georgia.
Who knows?
That's probably an easy answer for that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so like those are the two that I drink. And honestly, you could heat those up and put them in a cup and I probably wouldn't tell the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me though, the issue that I have with canned coffee is that there's always a little bit of sugar in it. I don't like sugar in my coffee, so like I can go for like the non-sugar stuff,
Yeah.
and that's fine. But like there are
Yeah.
times when they like on the can it'll say like a new recipe. This is gonna taste better, and there's almost no sugar in it. But then it has a ton of sugar in it.
I was just looking at Boss Coffee. I do not know why experiments with like these weird flavors. I think we've talked about the lemon flavor.
The lemon coffee, like, oh yeah, that
So
was horrible.
there's a new flavor that I just saw today because I go to the convenience store like pretty much every day. Just because it's right in my train station, and I'm usually getting coffee on the way to work. But I went into like New Days. New Days is like a convenience store that you often see in, like JR.
Yeah.
And you go in, and right next to the black coffee, there's like black soda.
Black soda?
Yeah. So it's black coffee, but they put tansan into it.
I understand like espresso tonic, but coffee tansang, like carbonated water.
It's like carbonated black coffee.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I do not have the courage to drink it.
I'll get it, man. I'll let you know how it is.
Try it, because I think it probably tastes as bad as you would imagine it to taste.
Well, I have to buy some really expensive coffee today, so on the way I'll get that.
Tansan black coffee, man.
Yeah.
It'd be delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, God. Why Japan?
So one thing though, so another thing to talk about too is, have you ever been to like a kissaten here, like a traditional coffee place?
No.
Okay, then we shouldn't talk about it.
I've been to traditional tea places if they're similar.
Yeah, so like basically, like kissaten are like coffee places from the 50s and 60s. You know that?
Oh no, I've never. What is that like?
So kissaten literally means a shop where you can enjoy tea.
Okay.
And or coffee, because coffee and tea are like the same thing. So the thing that's in between a cafe and a kissaten is that a cafe has a cooking license, so it can cook food for you, but a kissaten can only heat things. It can't cook them. It can only heat things. So they'll have like toast.
Yes.
Right. So like Komeda coffee. Have you had Komeda coffee before?
I have not, but I have been to multiple places that do the same thing for tea.
So basically like a kissaten is like a very old style.
Yeah.
They normally will have like velvet chairs or something like that, and you'll get coffee for like $4, $5, whatever. Maybe get like some toast or something. They're a big part of like Japanese culture in the past. Like they're not so popular anymore. Yeah. But those are the places where you go to relax, to have coffee. Yeah. Like the reason I never go to them is because even if they don't have a clear rule, there's no way I would open my computer there, because I feel like I'd be ruining the atmosphere there.
Yeah. So this doesn't have to do with coffee. This is, like I said, this is with tea. But I actually went to a place very similar to this in Oita.
In Oita, okay.
There's a really cool Edo period town called Takata.
Takata, yeah.
And if you go there, like, dude, it's like literally traveling into the past.
Okay.
All of the buildings are like really like 100 to 200 years old buildings. And the streets are all organized, like really tiny streets. It's hard to fit cars on them, and they're really trying to preserve that image. And so we went to a tea place there a couple weeks back with my wife and my mother-in-law, and so the entire experience was you sit down in this room, and you are usually sitting down on a couch or really like comfortable chair. And you're just looking at a bamboo forest.
Oh, cool, man.
And so that's the experience, is like you have tea served to you, and they don't really serve food. Like they have like a was it wagashi?
Wagashi, yeah. Yeah, it's Japanese sweets.
Yeah. So they'll have like that, or maybe I think toast.
Yeah.
They have.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah, so that's like kissaten, yeah.
Yeah, and then they'll serve you like different kinds of tea. And then you just kind of sit there, and it's really quiet.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody talking at all.
Yeah.
And so, quiet. I understand what you're saying. Like it feels weird to pull out your laptop, or even it's kind of weird to be on your phone when you're there too.
Dude, that reminds me. So possibly my favorite place in Japan that I've been to so far, and I would not want to be there forever, but I would want to go there for like short bursts. Kind of a similar experience to what you were talking now.
Yeah.
There in the mountains in Niigata, there's this I forget the name of it. There's this kominka, so like an old traditional house that was originally the property of the local tax collector. Okay. So it was a guy who was pretty rich. You know, he would collect the rice and give it to the government. Yeah. And they gave that estate over to the state. And it became a coffee shop.
Mm.
And so you have this really old historical building that's 200 years old. And the way you get to is you have to go up the mountains, and then there's a grove in the woods.
Yeah.
And to get into the grove, you have to cross this really narrow road, which
Yeah.
I'm like, if you turn your car a little bit too far, you'd like fall over into...
Dude, it's
Yeah.
when you get in the countryside here,
Yeah.
it's like it's really crazy seeing those roads.
Yeah.
Because like, as an American, I mean, even if you go in the countryside, like there's still like guardrails up,
Yeah.
or the road's like at least wide, just because
Yeah.
Americans have huge cars. But no, it's like the same thing in Oita, man. As soon as you get a little bit off the beaten path, you'll get on a road, and it's just like
I could die.
there's like a 40-foot drop,
Yeah.
and
you're
if
not
you
careful.
veer off the road at all, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
It's
I
terrifying.
don't
man.
understand. That's legal.
It's terrifying.
But and that actually, so this is a sidetrack, but
Yeah.
I originally was going to go to get an international license so that I could drive here, so I didn't have to pay the huge fee to get a license here and go to school or whatever. But looking at the roads here, especially, like, I feel like I should invest the money and get proper training because
it's a little sketchy, man.
no, dude, because I'm used to driving American roads, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game out
there
here,
is
man.
no room at all
Yeah,
on roads here.
yeah,
Even on the highway, the roads are still very narrow
Yeah.
compared to like American highways.
dude, we should talk about driving. I mean, you and I both don't drive, but we could talk about like road.
I don't drive here, but like I'm on the road. I wouldn't say often, but like
Yeah.
pretty.
Yuki, that should be another topic. So, 日本で運転すること. That should be another topic we do. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's scary.
Yeah.
I understand. I really want to get my license too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like we've talked enough about the coffee stuff. Now we're talking about driving stuff. We should talk about that in detail more later.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
All right.